I guess we shall start the Winter 2020 Twitch exclusive.
Twitch exclusive.
Bracket drawing. Now with 100% more Panda Dab.
Oh, yes.
Infinite Dendrogram.
That sounds like some fucking like spirit science fucking galaxy brain. What's the word? Sacred geometry.
Oh, see, I was thinking it sounds like incredibly tunibyo. Like, I summoned the infinite dendrogram, which is stored in my right arm, because I'm pretty sure that's how tunibyo works.
Every panda fighting his right arm.
The case, imagine, is the tunibyo power stored in your left arm?
Probably.
Interspecies reviewers. Boy howdy, am I hyped for this. Comedy, ecchi, fantasy? Like, if this
okay.
isn't some fucking weebs sitting down and, like, as cat girls pass along, like, 7, 5. Like, if it's not that,
So,
I'm going to be horribly
I'm looking
disappointed.
I'm looking at the cover art for the manga. And
Silent Panda is trying to say something and I have
howdy.
no idea what. I'm sorry, I was always really bad at charades.
charades.
This game
He
is
has a
charade.
boner. I'm not sure what he's saying. 'Just wipes it away.
22/7. You may be familiar with the idea of 24/7, but what if you like took 2 hours break? Then you'd get 22/7. Uchitama, have you seen my
None of
Tama? Okay, 4 letters, or is it 4 words? No? 3. 3.14 pi. Pi. Oh, 22 over 7. Okay. Yeah, the fraction for pi, 22 over 7.
Oh, there you go.
Silent Panda may not have a mouth, but he does have a brain.
He does. How are you supposed to figure? And what if it's an incredibly like weird thing, like the number of red lights that are within a mile and a half of you? Like, what if it's something ridiculous that you can never find out? How many children are killed immediately because it's the number of times the horn, like the horn on a car, honks in the world?
Number of
And
spiders you swallow in your sleep.
This seems ridiculous.
7
I want
per
to
year?
see if this is something like that. Is the old wives' tale? I want to see. I'm fascinated by this.
It's gonna be bad, dude.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
It's gonna be terrible.
If we
Like,
say that,
is
but we've also said that about Promised Neverland. And
Yeah,
that
I was
turned
about
out
to say,
be
the
good,
last show we had this
That's
much
true.
fun with the premise of was Promised Neverland, so...
And it was pretty good. Oh! That's gonna be so bad. Mankai Company is a far cry from its glory days as an all-male theater with only one member left and in debt. This is absolute Fujo bait. With only one member left and debt collectors at the door, it's no wonder Izumi. This is literally the other show we watched where their school was gonna get shut down.
King of Prism? God, I sure hope so.
Izumi Tachibana finds herself in over her head when she boldly confronts the Yakuza's loan sharks, promising to bring her father's theater back into the spotlight. She might be able to recruit enough talent, but can they bloom into the actors she needs?
Nope, it's an Otome.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna establish now the Xerxes extended universe, which is I'm gonna take every Otome idol show and put them in the Prism universe, like
Deep Prism lore.
deep Prism. This
Deep Prism lore.
All right, in our final group.
Invarial. It made a very similar joke in chat. The show has 3 seasons. It invaded, ego invaded, and super ego and super invaded.
Super invaded. Nice. Actually, no. What should be is it invaded, ego moderated, and then super ego.
Super invaded.
First show is going to be interspecies reviewers, and what I was trying to pantomime earlier is the panda was pointing out that he is an interspecies reviewer. Along with you guys. Yes,
that's perfect. The panda was correct. Beauty truly is in the eye of the beholder. From elves to succubi to cyclops and more, the Urinal Gloss reviewers are here to rate the red light delights of all manner of monster girls. The only thing is, they can never agree on which species are the hottest.
I'm here for it.
I am too.
That just sounds like an elaborate metaphor for the anime community.
This is
I think it actually is Waifu Wars the show.
All right. Next show in Group E is.
I think that's all for this drawing of the official XQC Shared Idol Show universe.
Yes. Many more shows added to the universe. What happens? Find out this season on AniFiles.
And then you can set it as your banner image on Twitter.
Hey, I don't have a Twitter.
Smart.
It's better. It's better that way.
Yeah, I know.
He's always telling me to get off Twitter.
No, yeah, I'm telling everybody to get off Twitter. And that's why I'm here today.
Public service announcement. Get off Twitter.
I think we all need to hear that. There's another one, and another one, and another one, and another one. There's something for everyone here, and by something for everyone, I mean all the characters are cardboard cutouts of stock character tropes of personalities that can be distilled down to a single word, ending in Y. The big dude walks up and identifies himself as a production company employee, begins explaining the plot. The large man lures no more than 10 and no fewer than 6 teenage girls down into a bunker, which miraculously holds a large building and a lobby in it. Then we get a tour montage of the building. The big man tells the girls that the next room is the most important room and, quote, their room. The room contains a wall, which magically spits out orders that must be followed. I'm assuming one of the earlier orders was lure no more than 10 and no fewer than 6 girls into the cult of the wall. Boss likens having a job to having a job, hoping that his lazy and useless syllogism will somehow magically constitute advice. The main character's sister wants her to play music. The main character gets upset and sells her keyboard. The girls blather about whether the MC will show up until the MC shows up. Then MC yells at everyone about character motivations I don't believe. The wall activates and spits out cards that say welcome to 22/7/22/22 pi. Then there's no fewer than 6 and no more than 10 girls are supposedly in this cult now. And that's how this ends. Thank you.
That was a more interesting. That was a more interesting recap of the show than the show was.
In a way, too, like I mentioned, you know, there was in an on the nose way calling out the sort of the darker side of the idol industry. I was kind of amused in a way by the manager guy and that whole like compound they had to, you know, their production studio, and just the fact that there's this weird god in the wall that like prints out orders for them.
Talk about this wall situation, please.
That was my question.
I was incredibly amused watching Nick's reaction to the wall happen. My pet theory now is that they selected these girls out of the however many thousands applied because they were like, they did background checks and found them to be the most vulnerable. Like, we don't know the other girls' backstories yet, but like this, like our main character is like, she's got a mother who is ill and like their family's depending on her for income. So it's like, hey, we can take advantage.
Got the most to lose.
We find out in like episode 8 that there's some deep conspiracy that the production group
I feel like there already is a deep conspiracy, though. There's a wall that's a god.
I have been defeated. Okay, we found it in episode 8. There's another side conspiracy unrelated to the big conspiracy. Well, kind of slightly related to the big conspiracy, which is the slow descent into madness of the cult of the wall, as the people are just like, the wall it whispers, the wall is in your heart. What is the wall speaks to you personally.
They like start doing these rituals where it's like, wall, please reveal to us your divine will.
The police raid this underground corporate building, and it's just a bunch of teenage girls lying all over the floor, tripping absolute ass on psilocybin, trying to hear the wall.
I think it might be
Actually, no, they don't even go in there. It's just like they're in the seal enclosure at the zoo, and that's why it's under. That's where they got their psilocybin.
All these teenage girls just go feral and start running around the zoo like, the wall.
The inspiring story where like she proves to the world that yes, short girls can be fashionable too.
Short girls can be pretty too.
and then yeah, that's basically that. So they basically set us up for like, this is going to be the story of this, and I'm sure the rest of the series is going to be getting to see kind of like those two sides of like the world of fashion design from the perspective of a designer and from the perspective of a model, and we'll just see where that goes.
Yeah, the killer tag team of these two characters. He's gonna design things specifically for her, and it's gonna look great on her because it's designed for her, and she's gonna look great in them because they're designed for her, and she's also not a terrible model, I guess. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's the show.
You don't understand. I used to be short. I used to be small. That's where true fashion spirit comes from.
You merely adopted the shortness. I was born into it.
You really
The magic item that he was given at the very beginning of the game, which is called an embryo for some fucking reason, which is the gem on the back of his hand, is like, you're so demanding. I kind of like that. You're a little hot. And so she's a cute anime girl AI who says, I was born from your dreams. And I said, no, bitch, you were born from source code and learning algorithms. And so she turns
Skip
in
logic. You are entirely.
And she says, if you don't hurry up, I'm going to let it out. And so the other one opens up the door and she rushes in and makes it just in time. But then later on, we find out that she.
And then there's a line. The girl who got kicked out of the bathroom says, did character's name I forget mess up with the potty training on this one?
All right.
And then I'll let you continue because I know where you're going.
And then later on, we find out that character had to rush out of the bathroom. Apparently, wanted to change her panties because the other one sounded like she needed to go bad enough that she let a little bit out to exit early.
There's an entire subculture, a subgenre of fetishism. It's called desperation fetishism. And this is a subculture of people who enjoy videos of women who really need to pee.
All right, AniFiles cast members, let's say our catchphrase. Right.
Ponzu.
When I was in elementary school, some kid ate an entire cantaloupe during lunch, and then he puked in the hallway on the way back to class.
What? Welcome to AniFiles, episode 84, the podcast which is ruled by numbers. I'm your host.
Actually, it's not wrong.
It's really not. It's very much what we are. Don't worry about it. Why asking questions? Why asking questions about the show? Why are you asking what the logic of this universe is? Do you expect this universe to have an internally consistent logic? Do you expect it to be a well thought out piece of fiction?
Despite us spending 80% of this episode explaining to you the supposed logic of this universe.
Plunderer episode 1 and another world with my packing tape.
Yeah. But this is one of those rare episodes where like every show was kind of not terrible.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking that while I was watching these. This is one of the few stacks that we've had that I didn't think there was a single dog shit show. in this stack, and that's
There was a
rare.
show with dog shit, but
Okay. That was good.
And when she does that, her nose starts bleeding profusely, and the show stops, and everyone just looks at her, which is how I felt when Ryan Clark said, "We have a hard stop," and I went, and so anyway, God,
Ryan,
so everyone
if you're
just kind
watching this now, you know that was not him celebrating your hard stop. That was you hear what he said.
exactly. Yes,
Yeah,
Ryan
I'm
Clark,
sure-
please be watching the show.
For what it's worth, I'm also a fan.
The guitarist saw me and he went. He just gave me like this timid thumbs up, and I was like, ah. Anyway, let's see what I think of Lefroy now. And granted, this was years after you first made me try Lefroy. And so I tried some, and I was like, oh my God, this is amazing.
You know, I say
Like,
that's,
there's
I say that's not an Isla to start with, but that actually might have been my first Isla too.
I think it was. And I would say it's probably a good Isla to start with, because it's not as strong as Ardbeg, and it's not young either. So it's not as like angry tasting. So I really enjoyed it. And then I was like, Ardbeg, Smokehead, fucking I tried a shitload of Islas, and I actually really enjoy Islas now.
Nice.
I know some of these words.
I literally had a girlfriend, like, she came home and she kissed me and she was like, you taste like a corpse.
James. No shit.
It's like, yeah, man, I've been drinking bog water, man. Come
All
on.
right, so pro tip to
What
our
about you, Justin? What are you drinking? It's an orange juice, right?
Yeah, you know, a little Sunny D and Crown, you know.
Yes.
Hood mix.
Nice.
Nice.
A pro tip to our listeners: is your loved one into necrophilia? Drink Ardbeg. We just learned that works.
Drink Ardbeg and like stand in a freezer for a few hours and
And then lay there really still.
Okay. Hang on. Let me revise.
So
Mhm.
she the kid is sitting there and he's constantly watching the same anime, which I felt a little called out, but he's constantly
if they just had like
watching-
iron-blooded orphans on the screen.
I was gonna say High School DxD, but
also
Chris,
that.
Chris is being generous.
Yeah. I would love the idea of like this kid just staring at High School DxD.
Yes, both are fair.
It's like a dreamlike sequence. Totally falls into what they do because of how, I don't want to give away too much of it, but what they do to the minds.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I'm gonna leave it at that. Per 5 for me.
Nice. Chris?
All right. So Pet episode 1, Headbangers.
Nice.
This one's actually not particularly easy for me. Of the two, you know what? Hanako-kun.
This is a tough one for me as well because I didn't particularly like either of these.
But I think Hanako-kun has a chance to be funny.
I kind of agree. So I'm going to say that, and it's going to be a 2-2 tie.
A 2-2 tie. Oh my god, it's a tie.
Tournament arc. All right.
That's going on the soundboard.
I can cut things together if you know what I'm saying.
I don't know what you're saying. Are you a serial killer? Do I need to call the police? Is that what's happening here?
That's cutting things apart. That's cutting things apart, Ryan. He's an editor.
Scissor hands up here, man.
the key to peak comedy is just to say, if you know what I'm saying, at the end of anything.
Oh.
If you know what I'm saying.
It immediately makes whatever you just said a joke.
Indeed.
Well, if you like this show, you can follow us on Twitter @FilesAnnie. If you know what I'm saying.
No diggity, no doubt.
It is 1:20 Central Time right now. This is a very long and late episode.
It is a very long episode. I like it though.
Are you saying you like it long? If you know what I'm saying. I'm your host, the Fujo Bait Athletic Boy number 1, Ryan. With us today, we have the Fujo Bait Athletic Boy number 2, Chris.
I'm gonna try my best.
Fujo Bait Athletic Boy number 3, Dean.
I would really like to go with you.
And Fujo Bait Athletic Boy number 4, special guest Adam.
Right, whatever you say, boss.
And we're here.
I think this podcast may be the opposite of Fujo Bait. But I'm not entirely sure about that.
You look up in thesaurus.com Fujo Bait, and it's like, what is it? Antonyms?
Yeah, and they're just like
AniFiles.
pictures of us. The cast of AniFiles is not considered Fujo Bait. And it doesn't look that fancy, but apparently is quite rare and valuable. So he's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. Allow me to pay for it." And it's like, "Okay, well, I don't think you can afford it, but you can become a butler in training, and you can work during your time here to pay off that vase."
Can work with the other butler whose name is Butler Butlerson.
Yes.
Or may as well be.
Jeeves Woodhouse is his name.
Yeah.
And so, they ask Jeeves if that'd be okay, and he says it is. And so, the next day he puts on a nice butler suit that they just, I guess, either ran out to grab that night or happened to have handy for no particular reason.
There's a reason.
Yeah. And there's probably some sort of angle they're playing of like, she's kind of like the good guy thief, because it's like, oh, these are like actual magical artifacts that need to be protected, and so we can't put the wrong hand.
This belongs in a museum.
This doesn't belong in a museum.
This belongs in my home.
Yeah.
So she's like, "Hey, man, you're fixing my shit. You got scared when you heard those footsteps, didn't you?" He's like, "I don't have emotions. I am a tall man." And she's like, "No, you have emotions. I saw you get tense." Anyway.
So here's what happens when you're going really fast, but then the thing that is making you go fast stops going fast. You keep going.
And then here's what happens when the momentum hits 0 very suddenly for you.
Yeah.
You stop going, and your bones start going.
Your bones are still going. You're not.
The skin that touched the surface stops going. Everything like closer afield than that skin keeps going. That's including your organs, muscles, other
all
tissues.
Of the mass that was going stops going, and now a lot of sound and heat is going.
Okay, we should really get moving on this.
We were, and then it stopped.
Yeah,
we were going, and then it stopped abruptly.
What is it that our character is injured with? What is this malady that has taken this man from athletic superstar to water boy? What is this injury that is so dire that our main character spent 6 months in the hospital?
Apparently, he's got a hernia. Just, dude, like, how do hernias work? Can you even get a hernia from being in a motorcycle? My
yes is the answer, actually.
We've talked about how I feel about eating sounds. You don't voice act eating, right? Like, that's just, it's a thing you animate. And hopefully, unless your friends are disgusting, mouth-breathing human beings, they don't make a whole lot of noise when they eat.
Dean,
There's
Dean,
no,
stop.
you don't.
You're taking it a little bit too far.
A shield is a defensive weapon.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And it says at the beginning, when she first picks it, that it has no offensive capability.
Mm-hmm.
It says
So,
that.
I
She reads
understand
it.
your confusion. I understand your confusion. But what happens when a body traveling at speed
It suddenly stopped against a hard object with the corner that sort of like focuses the.
Oh, God damn it. These things are things in games, and they make sense based on the weapons that she's holding thus far. Apparently, this MMO also just lets you bite your enemies to death for no apparent reason.
And you
So
don't
she's-
even have to have an attack stat, and it's not going to take you
Right.
that long.
So when
Because
you
if
see,
all of her attack power was tied to the sword that was disintegrated, she should not be able to do any damage to this thing, correct? No,
so
wrong.
when you have
She can
when you have
bite
sharp
it.
edges that are being driven into each other by a high pressure force.
Oh, jeez.
Because like I didn't know what I wanted to go by, and so I just auto-generated names until I found one that wasn't awful, except that I was like 10, and so it was still awful. My name was Touched Dread.
Oh, God.
All right.
Is that not the worst, edgiest bullshit you've ever heard? Exploited
Yeah.
a balance issue that no one has noticed.
This might actually be an exploit. Like, I don't think this would be considered fair play.
I mean,
I don't know.
I don't think it counts as an exploit. I think it counts as an oversight.
An oversight that's going to get patched out,
Yeah.
and that's how the season ends.
No.
The season ends with the devs just going, all right, we're going to push this patch, and...
just the last scene is like she's like, oh, there was a developer update. She's like reading the patch notes, and then just like it just shows on the screen. There's no commentary, there's no music, it's just silent, and we just see like vitality has been tweaked in some way, and then we cut to credits.
Vitality balance issues addressed.
And then you're just left to speculate about what happens after that.
Also, it's been 2 years.
Yeah, also it's been 2
Since
years.
she saved his life.
Also, I liked how he said too, like when she says like, I just saved your life just now. It's like, I suppose it is possible to die that way. Like if you were to fall straight backward, and if an object at speed strikes a flat, unmoving object,
right,
it
a
could
flat
cause.
surface.
Yeah.
Right.
But that would also assume that the person falling doesn't have like the reflex to curl their head in just a little bit. So
Or,
No, at
throw their hands
the
back.
very least, it would cause a hernia.
Inspector episode 1, she's a one-eyed, one-legged, walking purple spirit greeter. Or alternatively,
Oh.
a deep cut that I might have to explain. Inspector episode 1, it is Wednesday, my dudes.
All right, then let's get into ratings for this show. Ghost in the Shell, Standalone Complex, Episode 1. 2FA's a bitch when you can swap bodies at will.
Was that how you're supposed to deliver your title? Oh boy. All right, I gotta practice mine. Dean, you gave me mine as you were speaking.
Chris, what are your ratings for this show?
All right, Ghost in the Shell, Standalone Complex, episode 1. Is it geisha if I swap brains with a woman? I apologize for that one.
Really good.
I was wondering in the lore of the show if they chose,
Oh, I see.
if they chose to
Why
name
they-
Tijuana when they chose it. Were they like, oh, it's a scum pit, we'll just call it Tijuana? Or were they like, well, this is the Tijuana asteroid. Hopefully, we'll have like a kids park here and
It'll be great.
it'll be nice, I promise.
Maybe they transplanted Tijuana, and that's why it's called that. Like they're sort of like,
Yes,
we'll just
pick
take
it
the
up.
city and move it into space.
Yes, yes. Oh my god, once stands get into the whole thing, like the things that stands do.
Posting
it just
K-pop
becomes-
gifs everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah, Jesus.
Stands and stands are two different things, Dean.
Standardiza. I don't have the
Okay.
ability
With
to
the D,
pronounce it.
yes.
You're making fun of my speech impediment from being from New York.
I've been thinking about the scenario interest. Me loving Gundam as much as I do, because I love Gundam. I love Gundam. Gundam is the show that I love.
It's the
and
best.
a whole.
It's the
Yeah.
greatest Gundam. The largest Gundam. We built the best.
It's the
Gundam.
greatest anime franchise I think I've ever seen. It's wonderful. It's
People say it all the time. It's the best.
Misato. I mean, what a smoke show she is, Misato. Huh?
Not quite as hot as my daughter, but otherwise,
I would date her.
Branching out, having diversity, showing that they actually know more than one Shakespeare play, and we don't expect good things from that show. But we'll
my
talk
Lord,
about that
credit,
later.
By
though.
heaven, thou echoest me, as if there were some monster in thy thought, too hideous to be shown. Thou dost mean something.
So we're gonna
Like random out of context Shakespeare quotes throughout the evening.
we're gonna talk about some Shakespeare. We're gonna talk about some anime, and we're gonna rate all of our shows. Here's how we do it.
I am to Paduna come, as he that leaves a shallow splash to plunge him in the deep.
That's not how we're gonna do it, but
That's not how we read it.
Taming of the Shrew, best Shakespeare.
Yeah.
I think that's why, like, the question of am I more interested to see more? It's like, no, not really.
I would agree
However,
with
I
that,
do
absolutely.
really want to see. I do want to see a crossover. The case files of Julia Richard and Knuckles, in which we appraise the Master Emerald and perhaps the Chaos Emeralds. Yeah.
You just see Shadow comes in, just decides to be edgy, and then leaves once an episode.
Faker. There's a fake Chaos Emerald.
when the main character gets the part-time job and they're at the hospital and he's like, well, the guy who turned me into a lizard isn't here, and so he just fucks off and is talking with his friend, and his boss is yelling at him. It's like, I know people like that. I have worked with some of them.
I can relate to this.
Mm-hmm.
You're working as a fry cook one day and some guy comes in and he's like, are you the one who turned me into a lizard? And I'm like, no, man. He's like, all right, well, you're going to be solo cook for this shift, and just fucks off. And you're like, well, tits.
Rip. Maybe I should have said I was the one.
I was trying to say the male nominally MC is a bad actor, as in he's bad at acting in universe.
In universe.
He's a bad actor.
And also the performance is bad.
Yes. Everything is bad about this.
But he just loves rugby so much. I mean, theater so much.
Don't you mean soccer?
Yeah, we haven't gotten a lot of like fun, light trash like that recently. It's either been just bad or
it's either good
serious.
or just bad.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it's not like fun trash. Yeah, I see that. I can see.
Is anime trying to be good?
I mean, I think some anime has always
I
tried to
think
be
some-
good,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, and you can't blame most of them wanting to continue to try to be
you
good.
can.
Okay.
So yeah, they go to this new joint club, the Earth Sciences Club, and we find out that MC's childhood friend is actually in the club, and she's very embarrassed to find out that actually Ao-chan
In
is.
the club.
I didn't. I mean,
Getting it in there.
I didn't think it was that funny, Dean.
No,
Take a breather.
what I think he's thinking is like 50 cents into club.
Well, yeah.
Like into club.
Yeah.
It is 9 p.m. Central on a Sunday night.
It is.
Anyway,
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I really need to
You
do
have
something
access to
because
Patreon, you do
Smart.
not have access.
my dad is in our Discord.
Yeah, maybe we should lock it to Patreon.
where's everyone but Ryan's dad? No offense to Ryan's dad.
Yeah.
Just give my dad a very special dad role who can't access the not safe
dad
for work
roll. The
channels.
dad roll is
Only
not in
sees
that.
general.
It's actually not a bad idea.
That would be pretty perfect, actually. I think that'd be very
Oh man. You can follow us.
Dad, a dad roll.
Podcast dads.
I
Like
love
the
the,
routing thing.
command strip things. They're amazing. We use those for most of our wall hangings, so we don't leave holes in our apartments.
I think Fate used command strips too. You get like 3 of them before then you lose your powers as a master.
Fate.
Funny joke.
Steven?
Sorcerer, stabber, orphan. Plot twist: the orphan's name is Orphan. Like, really? Change one letter and that's his name? Okay.
Yeah, our main character, a guy in his class is dead, and we basically know that he's dead, but our main character doesn't know he's dead. And then our main character downloads an app that the dead guy sent him the night he died. And then he gets bit by a snake, and then he skips school, and then he gets chased around by an invisible guy in a panda costume. And then that
With
guy dies.
666 on the back.
And our main character's a little bitch, and then he has a gun, and then he goes to meet a girl he was talking to through the app earlier because she's going to tell him about the game, and then she tries to kill him, and then he almost kills her except doesn't, and he wins, and then they're naked in bed together, except that nothing happened because this is an anime.
I forgot about that.
Except she wants to
Yeah.
start a family.
Then, after I thought about it for a second, I was just like, okay, with how the ranking system is for AniFiles, I could see that because all the other shows were like straight garbage.
That's the problem is you stack garbage up against garbage and it's the best garbage wins.
Yeah, that's always Steven's episode. Always. Thank God y'all invite him to be a guest. I want to thank you for that because then I get better shows.
Room Camp episode 1, quite the bore.
There you go. I was trying so hard to come up with a
puns.
board pun, and I couldn't. So thank you for succeeding where I failed.
Very
You're
well done.
So did the premise interest me?
That's not a person that I'm gonna hop on a bus to go meet. No offense to that person, but like I don't know you, dude.
Now there are
Also,
plenty-
magnets. How do they work? It's relatively explained. Magnets it's a thing that exists. We kind of relatively know how they work. The way magnetism affects other things is a little difficult to figure out, but magnets we understand.
I want
take
to.
it in the spirit of the song. I think they mean it's like even if we technically understand the scientific like processes behind magnets, we're just in awe at the phenomenon that is magnets.
That's fair.
The phenomenon that is magnets.
Anyway, we then cut away to a couple of Chads in the gym who are extremely muscular and they're just going at it super hard. And then they get done with like, a couple of their workouts and they're just like flexing while they talk to each other. It's like, oh yeah. Like
They're like writing poetry about their biceps. I loved it.
So he's like, hey little bro, isn't it so great that we're so athletic and muscular? Yeah, big bro. We've got, our family's always been super muscular and into fitness, except our one other brother who he didn't adopt the same the same muscular genes or whatever, but at least he's some kind of genius or something, so that kind of makes up for it.
Yeah, at least his brain muscle's super big.
Yeah.
Because in this commercial, they show literally everyone playing it, which to me reeks of desperation, and no one is playing this game, and they're trying a little too hard to be like, you're not cool if you're not playing our game.
Yeah.
I definitely want to play the game that Trump plays.
Yeah, you're not an elder.
Cool
They had the
kid.
elder Japanese statesman standing up there holding up a booster pack or something.
I mean,
It's like,
I'll be honest. I enjoyed that little montage just for like kind of the
It was
humor
hilarious.
of these cards in those
it
contexts.
was hilarious, but it's like, but seeing that, it's like I don't want to play the game that boomer politicians are playing.
Yeah.
Like that doesn't seem fun to me.
Congratulations, all the celebrities you chose are like the ones who, okay, they're playing this game, so I'm not going to.
Right.
The hot new card game, insider trading.
I'm imagining Angela Merkel standing up, giving a press conference about how she just purchased an Exodius. Like,
Oh my goodness. Can you hold that little angel so I can see his face? Oh my goodness. Oh, that is an absolute unit. Oh, he's so cute. Ah, okay.
The premise of this first episode is the girl confesses to the guy. She says, it appears I have fallen in love with you. And he says, prove it. And so they come up with a hypothesis for what it means to fall in love. And then they try to prove it. And they can't.
no, he's just going along with it. He said, prove it, meaning, then fuck me. We should fuck now. And she was like, okay, I'll use science. And he's like, oh, shit. Well, oh, God.
I guess I gotta play along with this. All right.
Okay, I guess we're
Actually,
doing
it's really
now.
interesting read.
Because that's not what a null hypothesis is.
Yeah.
The null hypothesis is just the opposite of the hypothesis. It's not like my hypothesis is that some crows are pink. That's not the null hypothesis. Is just not all crows are black.
Yeah.
And so you go out to try and do. That's the null hypothesis. You don't have to have a specific alternative. It's just not the hypothesis.
Yeah.
I'm so angry because this is like stats is part of what I do and did as in political science. Like stats is major, a huge part of that field, and to have a bear tell me the wrong thing about a null hypothesis, explain it incorrectly to millions of people. I'm
Millions
oh,
is
man.
very generous.
Yeah.
We
whoever's
also-
watching this.
Our female lead walks in and she's late to work and she says something, and then our male lead is like, you're 3 minutes late, and she says 2 minutes and 39 seconds. And then she says, also,
Pedantic assholes.
do you have time to be worrying about this? Don't you need to find a polynomial time reduction?
Like literally my notes in here start this is how it starts in the first 3 minutes. Garbage animation. Oh, she's a robot. Oh no, she's just a bitch. That's how my notes start. And it's just like I was just like, okay, is she supposed to be a robot or is she just super pretentious? Oh no, she's just super pretentious. Okay.
Except they missed the mark.
They did. The only redeeming quality that this woman has is a prehensile ponytail.
Yes. Yes.
That you call that a redeeming quality?
Yes, because it was cute as
stomach
fuck.
work. So I was just like, do you have? All I could think was that she had I don't know. Maybe just because I was living in San Marcos for a time, but the only thing when I saw that was just like, oh my god, you have a tree roach in your hair. You have a tree roach in your hair. That's what's happening.
Yep.
That's what's happening. Like take your ponytail out.
That's the thing, is there are aspects of this that are really, really fun and funny and entertaining, and then they skimped on the one part that kind of had the potential to let the whole thing fall apart, and the whole thing kind of does fall apart in an interesting way.
Potential.
Potential.
Oh, no.
Shall we quantify this show's potential with our ratings?
We shall.
It's a fucking tournament talk!
So we're gonna pit all the shows up against each other, and then things are gonna happen.
I have a
here's the
clip
things
that explains
that are gonna
how it
happen.
works. I have a clip that explains it. You want me to just?
Yeah. Would
Play the
you
clip?
please?
Yeah, I could just fire that off. Right.
Welcome to the AniFiles tournament arc. Each kind of like did a decent job at something in their own way, but then like there was one like just barely edged out the others, and not because it was amazing. Like not like, so I've had like finalists before. It's like, man, I just can't decide between these three. They're all so good but so different. And with these, it's just like, this one's a little bit better. So.
Oh man, Chris's video has a nice YouTube poop effect going on.
It really does. It's been deep fried.
All right, and reveal. A destructive god.
24. Dean changing his vote.
Yeah.
Sometimes the finality of it can make a difference. So we have 2 in favor of number 24, 1 in favor of destructive god, which means a destructive god is our grand final champion and the show we will watch between now and our
Like
season
as the actual shows themselves continue to crystallize in my memory, it's like I am so, boy howdy do I hate everything.
For me, I'm going to be miserable watching either of these shows.
Yeah.
But I was like,
basically,
it just felt very skeevy. Like the image that kept coming into my mind was like those idol anime we've been seeing recently, where you've got like the young girls performing at like a park or an airport in front of like a handful of neckbeards. And that was just kind of the feeling of this OP to me.
See, this was the first OP to go on my honorable mentions list. Also the first one to get knocked off. And my note for it was Coco Nut with nut capitalized.
Exactly.
excellent. 3D, very, very interesting. Oh my god, they left the cartridges on the, fuck this OP. They left the cartridges on the bullets. When they show the cops firing the guns, they left the fucking cartridges on the bullets. You can see the fucking, got motherfuck. That makes me so mad.
And that's why JoJo's is only 3rd place. No. It's because the top 2 are classics. So
Far
number
better,
2 is Cowboy Bebop. I was going to say it's possibly the most iconic OP of all time, but then I remember that Evangelion's also on this list.
Yep.
But I had that initial thought for good reason, though. Our 10 seed from Group C, Bofuri. I don't want to get hurt, so I'll max out my defense. Our 9 seed from Group F, Natsunagu. Darwin's Game. Our 7 seed from from Group F, Room Camp. That was our 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 seed.
You're trying to figure out where you are.
I gotta stay in character the whole time. Our 6 seed from Group D, Id Invaded.
Also Azukin.
That is a 3-0 in favor of Azukin, which means that Azukin will survive and Darwin's Game is eliminated from the winner's bracket. And like I was thinking that maybe Darwin's Game would have some legs potentially, but then went up against Azukin in round 1 of the losers bracket. So rip Darwin.
Yep.
It was not the fittest.
It was not.
All right. Losers round 1, matchup number 2. That's the most generic Darwin joke, I realize.
I think it's a very good series when viewed as a series. Again, if you just pull episode 4 out, you might not like it, but in the context of the series, it's quite an achievement actually of storytelling, I think.
My favorite pastime is putting my anime list into random.org and selecting a random anime and then pulling a random number and just watching that random episode in isolation.
One Piece, episode 86. Let's see.
Did the Azure Lane run red?
No.
Good to know.
It just gets like really dark at the end, and like boat girls just start getting like slaughtered in droves. This is war.
No, that's not quite. It's not quite that. It's
16 millimeter cannon fire shredding boat girls. Fucking naval guns rotating, a girl's coming down out of the sky ready to fucking hit this other boat and just get shredded in half. That's a different show entirely.
It's a very different show.
I'd watch that show too.
They
probably.
still have all like the kawaii scenes in between. It's just like they just go on like nothing changed.
Well, I might watch. I would attempt to watch that show. And then that Aurora strikes a girl and makes her really powerful. And you're just, science.
It's sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic. So, I mean, I guess you would have 2 wet noodle magic systems if you have sufficiently advanced science.
Okay, fair enough.
Any sufficiently advanced magic is indistinguishable from science.
Right.
Yes, Brandon Sanderson's infamous 4th law. Overall, though,
any sufficiently advanced magic. I love it. I fucking love it.